Welcome, this is Chess from Retro Nirvana Gaming. Today we're going to do a video series on collecting for beginners. So this is going to be some helpful videos with different topics as to how to start collecting physical video games in 2024. It's going to give you a guide on as to where to go, what to do, how much you should pay, and all sorts of different scenarios so that you are trained as to how to find good deals on video games in 2024. Alright, here we go. This series is going to tell you, I'm going to actually go over some tips, some pro tips. I've been collecting for about 15 years. As you can see, I have a gigantic collection, and I will start giving you guys some tips as to how to obtain games for a lot cheaper, what routes to go to find these games, and what platforms to look on. So one of the first things I recommend is to go to Goodwill. Your local Goodwill, your Salvation Army, go to Savers. These are kind of places that a lot of people dump their games and they don't actually value those games. And so at that point, they have already basically lost value in those games. People don't really care about them at that point, so they donated them in whatever condition they are in. So now you just got to be a little careful when you go to a place like Goodwill because you have to check condition. So sometimes you can get games with good discs, but a lot of times you get very scratched discs. So you have to be very choosy with what you find there. So you could find an awesome game, a $50 game possibly, and if it's scratched to hell, it doesn't matter if it's a $10, if they're charging $10 for it, because it might not be able to be resurfaced. On the other hand, it might be able to be resurfaced. So you're taking a little bit of a gamble with Goodwill sometimes. But one of the biggest tips for Goodwill is to go often and to go early. Goodwill is usually open at 9 or 10 o'clock, depending on if it's on the weekdays or weekend. And so go early before anybody gets there. Be one of the first people through the door. I know I've done that many, many times over 15 years, where I've gone to 3 different Goodwills in my area. And you'll be surprised at what you can score because they put this stuff out overnight. And a lot of the times they don't know prices, they don't know what they have, they put it out, and if you are a little bit more knowledgeable than they are in terms of what you want to find, or just in general, if you find a game that you don't know about, you look it up and, ooh, that's a $50 game, ooh, that's a $100 game, and they have it for like price for $3, that's an amazing score. Case in point, I got this in the back of a Goodwill once in one of the blue bins. This thing was sitting there with a water damage cover. I was the first person to it, and so nobody was looking in those bins at the time. $3, and this is now. I got a new cover for this, and the cover actually I got for free because I sold a bunch of my cover art that I had back in the day. So actually the guy gave me like $80, $90 for all the cover art I had. So one of the things I did with that was I bought a new cover for this. Now this is very expensive now. And so to get this for $3, this is a hidden treasure. I mean, like, this is one of the best games I've ever gotten at Goodwill, and it'll always be in my collection for the rest of the time. So what I'm saying is make sure you go often because you don't know what could be there. It could be they could put out the stuff in the afternoon, or they could put it out in the morning, or right at the end of the shift, possibly right before they close. So a lot of people don't go late at night or right before they close. So what happens usually with that is you can get it before they close. Sometimes you'll get it before they close, and then when they open, there'll be other people looking for it again. So if you miss it before they close, it could possibly go to other people when they open if you're not there in the morning. The other thing about Goodwill is sometimes you gotta wait until some of these games are on sale. So they might be asking too much for something. So the next thing is try to use the sales. So back in the day, there used to be a discount for putting in your phone number, and also there used to be a birthday discount, which I used to take advantage of quite a bit. You can only use it once a year. If you have a wife, a girlfriend with you, a partner, then you can also use theirs possibly once a year. So be careful. I don't think they do that anymore, but back in the day, we used to be able to use it twice. Just kind of sneaky, but you know, you got to take advantage where you can. And so they do still do the color of the week at Goodwill. And so with that, you know, you have to be a little bit willing to lose that product to be able to get it for a good price. So sometimes if something is under your radar, but it's a little too much, like a console, you might see like a Wii console or an NES or a GameCube or a Super Nintendo. I've seen that before, where a Super Nintendo was sitting in there and it was like $150. It came with a bunch of games and nobody wanted to pay that $150. So of course that Sunday they changed the color to the color of the tag on that Super Nintendo. So of course that means it was half off. So everybody was mad dash getting into that Goodwill, trying to get that game or that system with the games for half price. And of course, whoever got to that case first and called over the associate got first dibs on that console and those games. And so they got a sweet deal, and everybody else is of course really frustrated because they beat me through the door. They got that great sweet deal. And the other thing about that is, buy with confidence, because a lot of the time scared money doesn't make money. Now, a lot of the stuff I've bought over the years is only for my own collection, so I don't really do a lot of reselling. I mean, I would say out of 100% of the stuff I buy, maybe under 20% of that gets sold. It's really mostly all for the collection. And so what I say is, with electronics, especially consoles, don't be afraid of buying these consoles. Obviously try to get them for the best price, but don't forget that Goodwill has a 2-day return policy on electronics. So what that means is don't be scared to buy it. Buy it, test it. If it doesn't work and you don't want to keep it, you can always go two ways. You can part it out, sell it. If you got it for a good price, you can sell it for parts, or you can bring it back to Goodwill and get a credit. The credit is not great, but it's getting better, because before Goodwill would send everything online and you wouldn't get a chance to any of these games. But now they are opening the floodgates again and sending the games to the stores. And so if you get a credit, let's say you get a console that doesn't work, you can actually return it to Goodwill and get your money back in a form of a credit. And you can use that credit to buy games and consoles again. So hopefully the second time you go and use that credit, you get something that actually works again. Alright, so I would say consistency is one of the most important things with Goodwill. Going often, and I don't mean once a week. I mean, once a week could be okay. But what I'm saying is, if you really want to find stuff, you need to go 3-4 times a week. That's what I used to do. I used to go 3 or 4 times a week, make it a priority. Before you know it, you will find great stuff. But it's very important that you go consistently. If you go only once a week and you don't find anything, I'm sorry, but I'm not sad for you, because once a week you won't find anything. You'll be lucky to find anything in a few months. If you go 3-4 times a week, yes, there's some times where you will strike out and get nothing, but before you know it, you will find stuff. It's a numbers game, and the more often you are, just like in sales, the more often you are in front of the product that's on the shelf, you will beat other people to that product. That is how I've built this game room, mostly from Goodwill and other sources as well, of course. But Goodwill was a huge priority for me at all times. There are times where I've gone into a Goodwill and picked up 50 games. And yes, it set me back a little bit, but back then, the prices were so good that 50 games, I was making money. I mostly kept them for my own collection, but guess what? much cheaper than buying them retail. Some of them were $1, $2, $4 back in the day. Now it's more like $5 to $8 on games at Goodwill now. But what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to spend the money and be there in front of the product, because you will end up getting great stuff after a while. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know, have you found good stuff at Goodwill? I'll show you guys a couple things before we end that I actually got from Goodwill over the years and the prices. So one of these is a 3DS XL. I actually found 2 of these blues at Goodwill, $40 each. They are working. Each of them came with a game pre-installed on there and are actually in great shape. So these things used to go for about $200. I got them back in the day from 2 different Goodwills for $40 each. Phenomenal price, absolutely phenomenal. All right, so now Savers. One of the best things I ever got from Savers was this Turtles 2 Battle Nexus for the GameCube. Along with, let's go back to Goodwill. I was able to get this complete in box GameCube for $15 back in the day. This thing is absolutely amazing, and actually one of the associates held this for me. He had it in his hands, and he knew I collected for Nintendo, and so he had it in his hands, and I was like, can I take a look at that? Of course, he handed it to me, and the rest is history. So now, you know, I have all 3 of these in the box. One of those was from Goodwill back in the day. Amazing. Here's another one from GameStop. This was before GameStop closed. We had Zelda Ocarina of Time 2DS Collector's Edition with Ocarina of Time installed on here. So this is the green 2DS. This thing was $50 at a GameStop before they closed. So these were clearance at one point. I was able to pick this up for $50. This thing goes for quite a bit more now. So over the years, we've been able to pick up a lot of great stuff. I encourage you guys to start looking through your thrift shops, pawn shops, Goodwill, Salvation Army, Savers, and try to find the deals there. Be choosy, look carefully, take some gambles here and there. Look at the prices and look at stuff like price charting. Look at stuff like Game Eye, which is what I use. Look at eBay sold listings and see, are these good prices or are they charging way too much for these? So that will be the first video there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button when you get a chance. It helps the channel grow. We'll do another video talking about a different topic very soon. Hope you guys enjoyed and have a good day.